35 years old. 1 World Cup, 1 Nations League title, 1 Europa League trophy, 1 Spanish Copa del Rey, and a 2-time winner of the Bronze Ball in 2016 and 2018. Those are the standout achievements in the career of Antoine Griezmann, the veteran forward who will be saying goodbye to top-tier European soccer, making his way to the MLS after this season. The biggest regret of his career is simply this: he has never won a La Liga title, despite spending 17 years battling it out in the league. During the time Griezmann was wearing the Barcelona jersey, the 2 Madrid teams were taking turns claiming the championship. But equally heartbreaking is his unfinished dream in the Champions League. Exactly a full 10 years ago, during the 2015 to 2016 season, Griezmann and Atletico Madrid made it all the way to the final match, only to fall short against their fierce rivals Real Madrid in a penalty shootout. At the San Siro stadium that day, the French star volunteered to take the very first shot in the penalty shootout, successfully beating Keylor Navas, which somewhat made up for the penalty kick he had missed earlier in the game. But in the end, his team still suffered a narrow loss due to a single missed penalty kick by Juan Fran. Antoine Griezmann's legacy at Atletico Madrid is already firmly established. But will he finally be able to achieve his Champions League dream? That is exactly the question that journalist Richard Jolly posed in The Independent. Neither the French player nor Atletico have ever won Europe's most prestigious competition, and with Griezmann leaving at the end of the season, this current campaign serves as the final opportunity to close out an era at the pinnacle of glory, Jolly wrote. Amidst the somewhat awkward situations on the field, a moment of sheer class still sparkled. On a night when others were constantly misplacing passes right to the opponent's feet, Antoine Griezmann unleashed a skillful backheel to open up space, setting it up perfectly for Julian Alvarez to sprint ahead and score. That was a notable development in the Champions League round of 16 match against Tottenham, when Griezmann assisted his younger teammate to extend the score to 5-1 in the first leg. It was an extremely technical piece of skill, backheeling the ball right as it dropped from quite high up. Being beautiful to watch is one thing, but what mattered most was its effectiveness. The journey ahead could very well feature Griezmann's final matches in this competition, perhaps even forever. The French World Cup champion with a German last name has spent his entire club career in Spain, but he will be crossing the Atlantic Ocean next summer to join Orlando City. Some even say that if the MLS representative had reached a better deal, Griezmann would have already left by now. Instead, his farewell tour still has one more stop for a final push in the Champions League. Let the future stay in the future, because I haven't gone anywhere yet. I still have a few more months to wear this jersey, months to fight with all my might for the club, whether it is at our home stadium or on away grounds, to lift the Copa del Rey trophy together and to continue writing the dream of going as far as possible in the Champions League, Griezmann wrote on Instagram. It would be an incredibly cruel scenario if his 13th and final attempt were ended by his own former team. In 2019, after arriving at Barcelona, he once confessed that winning the Champions League was his dream. However, that dream probably turned into a nightmare when his very first season at Camp Nou ended with a historic 2-8 crushing defeat against Bayern Munich. His second season then witnessed a 1-4 loss to Paris Saint-Germain, right in Catalonia. And as mentioned before, those 2 seasons wearing the Barcelona jersey also indirectly robbed Griezmann of La Liga glory. For a striker who has always been famous for his perfect timing and smart movement, he somehow always seemed to show up in the wrong place at the wrong time when it came to his team colors. Atletico has won La Liga twice under the reign of Diego Simeone. But ironically, Griezmann was on the payroll at Real Sociedad in 2014 and playing for Barcelona in 2021. One of Griezmann's most memorable moments at Camp Nou, recounted by the man himself, is, "When I was a Barcelona player, the press wrote every single day that Messi was not happy with me. Messi used to tell me, 'Antoine, don't pay attention to those things, it's just the press.' He answered them in every single match. On the field, he let me take a few penalty kicks and celebrated my goals as if he was the one who scored them." Even so, as a silver lining, Griezmann will depart as one of the most outstanding disciples of the Simeone era. He is a difference maker, someone who has given absolutely everything to Atletico Madrid, affirmed the head coach who has signed him twice. Being the greatest goal scorer in Atletico's history, the man who shattered the record of 1974 European Cup final hero Luis Aragonés, will leave a much deeper mark than his rather modest collection of club trophies. Leaving aside the Super Cups, the 2018 Europa League Championship stands as Griezmann's only major title in European club competition up to this point. He still has the chance to win one more trophy, but given the grueling nature of the Champions League, the Copa del Rey final next Saturday against his other former team, Real Sociedad, seems like a much more realistic and ideal parting gift. Griezmann's platinum-dyed hair might be a playful way to exaggerate his age, but it also truly reflects the sheer durability of this forward. The French goalscorer is 35 years old this year. Excluding goalkeepers, out of all the elite players left in the Champions League this season, only his midweek opponent, Robert Lewandowski, is older than him. An era is coming to a close. An era where Atletico rose up to become the third powerhouse of Spanish soccer, a familiar face in the Champions League, bid farewell to the Vicente Calderón cauldron to move to the state-of-the-art Metropolitano Stadium and put an end to a string of instability featuring 16 different managers in 15 years in exchange for the unwavering commitment of just one man. A massive part of those great achievements simply could not have taken shape without Griezmann's 211 goals. The true value of those goals clearly cannot just be measured by silver trophies. Both on and off the field, Griezmann has truly been a massive bargain for Atletico, even after they squandered the 120 million euros they got from Barcelona in 2019 on the flop signing of João Felix. The fact that the Portuguese star completely failed to make a similar impact only further highlights just how incredibly difficult it is to fill the void left by Griezmann. And this reunion must also leave Barca feeling a sense of regret. Why did they aggressively spend a 9-figure sum on a player who clearly had a tendency to step on Lionel Messi's toes in his operating area? Their recent financial crisis can absolutely be traced back to the fact that they burned through the windfall from the Neymar deal on Griezmann, Philippe Coutinho, and Ousmane Dembélé. In terms of style, Griezmann, with the natural instincts of a deep-lying forward, was always born to play for Simeone rather than Barca. He is much more suited for a 4-4-2 system than a 4-3-3, but he could serve as a wake-up call for his current attacking partner. With Barca currently keeping a close eye on Julian Alvarez, a similar yet distinct scenario could unfold. If Lewandowski leaves, a clear void will open up, waiting to be filled by a striker arriving from Atletico. However, in the immediate future, Alvarez will have to face off against his potential landing spot, while Griezmann clashes with the team that once signed him. This is a matchup that transports many people back in time, a full decade. 10 years ago, Griezmann's brace in the Champions League quarterfinals directly dethroned Barcelona, turning them into former champions. His decisive goal came from a penalty kick, yet he missed a different penalty kick in the final match against Real Madrid. And even though he successfully converted his shot during the penalty shootout, that earlier missed opportunity still became a heartbreaking part of the story of his and Simeone's era. They have always been the ones falling short, right at the gates of heaven. Standing right alongside Arsenal, Atletico is perhaps the biggest club to have never won the Champions League. Simeone is the most brilliant manager of his generation to have never lifted the trophy, and Griezmann is the outstanding player of his era who shares that exact same fate. He is currently the 19th greatest goalscorer in the entire history of the Champions League. Within the top 20, there are only 3 other players: Ruud van Nistelrooy, Harry Kane, and Zlatan Ibrahimovic, who have never tasted glory in this competition. Of course, Griezmann also has some well-deserved compensating rewards of his own. After the bitter double heartbreak in 2016, falling short in both the Champions League final and the European Championship final, he embraced a much sweeter double joy in 2018 by winning the Europa League and the World Cup titles. He scored goals in both of those finals and even swept the Man of the Match awards for both games. The most brilliant peak of his career took place right in Moscow, and it stands as wonderful proof of Griezmann's highly intelligent tactical vision as he continued to play elite-level soccer at his next World Cup, after being completely transformed into a true playmaker by Didier Deschamps in Qatar 2022. Meanwhile, at Atletico, he is the perfect connecting core, pairing seamlessly with a whole series of different number 9 strikers. Simeone's Atletico has always been famous for its strict pragmatism, but it is exactly this combination with the much more open attacking firepower of the current squad that brings fresh hope to romantic hearts. It brings hope that Griezmann's ultimate club-level dream actually has a slight chance of becoming a reality. The number of people who deeply admire Griezmann stretches far and wide, reaching well beyond the city of Madrid. It is as if he is just out there dancing on the field, Barcelona head coach Hansi Flick exclaimed just last week. Specifically, the German coach stated, "Playing against them is always incredibly difficult. They have one of the absolute best coaches in the world. I really like what I see in them. They have excellent individual players, and Griezmann is just wonderful. It truly seems like he is out there dancing. They have highly skilled players and a very talented coach. And the atmosphere inside the stadium is also very important." Griezmann has finally stepped into his very last dance on the old continent. The music will certainly stop soon, but hopefully it is not quite